Thanks for tuning into this special spooky episode of Howe's Things, a podcast from the David A. Howe Public Library. Folks, you are in the midst of Halloween now 10.
That's crazy.
10. And I'm here with the one and only Sally Jacoby Murphy, the queen of Halloween. Sally, here we are again.
Or I should say, woo-hoo.
You should. And I was delighted to see, as soon as the video came on, the dangly pumpkin earrings, the Halloween sweatshirt.
I have the Spirit of Halloween up on my TV here.
Oh, you do?
Can see in the background.
Yeah.
Like a guy with a pumpkin head.
Yeah. And some Halloween babies also
right.
In the mix. So I have my classic little stuffed pumpkin. I got my Halloween decor out of my office here. And this is the first time the library and the chamber are partnering on a scarecrow competition. Just built a scarecrow on the front lawn yesterday, and they're starting to pile up. So it's going to be a spooky day.
Are they themed?
Well, it's like a competition, so it can be like a kid scarecrow, like an outlandish scarecrow, or just kind of like a classic scarecrow. So you decide which category you're like submitting into.
Is the library submitting a scarecrow?
The library has one that is a pirate, and then I helped the Rotary Club. We built one for like the Rotary scarecrow, and we used the the Rotary logo is just a giant rotary wheel, So we had like a big giant circle sign with a Rotary logo, and we used that for the head, and it's weird. It looks like some sort of Roblox Doors entity, so it's spooky.
I like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very cool. Well, I'll have to make a trip to Wellsville and see the
Definitely
scarecrows.
What is going on at the Fred and Harriet Taylor Memorial Library, of which you are the director? Do you have Halloween shenanigans happening? Is decor up?
Decor is up. I have a new staff member. Shout out to Beth Ann, who is much better at decorating than I am. So we're actually extra spooky this year. There's spiders everywhere, little scarecrows.
Yeah.
Good time. And there's a little I Spy fish tank with all this Halloween stuff in it that the kids can look at. It's super cute. But we're doing the Legends and Lore Spooky Tales of the Finger Lakes that is going to be held at the Boating Museum. So we are cooperating with them.
Okay.
We did that last year and it was fabulous.
Spooky.
You pay and then you go through and you hear true stories of the Finger Lakes that are about haunted things.
Nice.
And we are also on Halloween doing our annual giving out books and candy situation.
Okay. That sounds good. We're doing our Books and Brews book club, where we've been meeting at different places around town. This month, we're meeting at the Booksellers, and we're doing a Stephen King book called The Girl Who Loved Tom Gordon. It's a quick read. It's like a 250-page, so, that's like tiny for a Stephen King novel.
Yeah.
Some people in the book club are like big Stephen King fans, and others are like, I've never read a Stephen King. That's too scary. So we tried to pick one that was kind of right down the middle, spooky without being, The Shining. And so, we'll see. We'll see how it goes. We are prepping our annual Spooky Stacks, where we do a library tour in the dark and have light. We don't want to make it too scary. We don't want kids like running. I mean, we a little want kids running out of the library terrified, but we try to find the right line of scary without being too scary. So we're prepping that. We've got some real ghouls who work here, Sally, and they're excited. They're looking forward to it all year. This is a highlight for them.
Oh, I believe it. Well, I know I probably have said this on one of our previous 10 years of
10.
Doing it. But Jessica is honestly, I know I'm the queen of Halloween, but she might be like the empress of Halloween as far
Jessica, yes. Jess's commitment to the Andover Haunted House is legendary. She goes all in. She pulls no punches. And I know the same is true for this year. I haven't been through it, but I had a board member who went through it not once, but twice because it was so good.
Yeah,
so.
I mean, I drive an hour to the Andover Haunted House
you do.
every year I can. So it's a fabulous time.
Yep. Well, let's get into some of the spooky things we're reading and watching and all that. Let's open up our books and see where our bookmarks are at. Let's start with books. Sally, are you reading? You don't have to be creepy, but if you are reading a creepy thing, I also want to know about that. But what's something you've been reading recently that you've enjoyed or hated? I'm equally open to both.
Well, actually, I just started. I don't know how many folks listening have any connections to Houghton College, but I'm reading Jack Connolly's new book about a tragedy that happened at Houghton in I want to say it was the late 70s, early 80s, somewhere in there.
Okay.
but it's like famous because 6 students died in a car crash.
Right.
And he wrote a book about that and then the reactions of the community. So I just started that, and he's
but that's not. Is the book recent? Or,
yeah, he just wrote,
the book. Okay, okay.
Yeah, the book. I mean, I think it officially was published like maybe 6 months ago.
Oh, okay. So really new.
Weirdly, my dad's art is on the cover, which is
hey, there you go.
But Jack is a wonderful writer, and I grew up in that area hearing that story, and so it's kind of nice to have it in novel form.
Okay.
But that's my series. That's not really Halloween-y. That's just the thing I'm reading.
I get it.
But I am reading, I have 2 kind of coffee table books that I've been dabbling in. One is called Spooky Lakes. This is by Geo Rutherford, and it is a collection of just haunted tales of different lakes around the world.
Okay.
People might know her from, she does a TikTok series, and that's what this is based after, and she got a book deal based on the TikTok series. But it's just a really fun, like, you can kind of read one a day, and it's like a fun way to celebrate October.
All right.
And then this one is an illustrated history of ghosts, which is similar. They're just short ghost stories and like history of how ghosts came about.
Okay.
And I like to, read 1 or 2 of these things a day just to like get me in the spooky mood.
Get in the mood, as if you need to be put in the spooky mood.
Yeah, that's fair. But
I appreciate your dedication. Annually I got to read my Archie scary stories, and that is what I did. There's a new collection that is called Archie's Scary Stories, and it's just a collection of spooky, Archie and Betty and Veronica and the whole gang. And it's a mix of vintage stuff and newer stuff, and usually I prefer the vintage stuff, but just one of those things. Christmas and Halloween, I always got to check in with Archie, so I did that. And then I just finished a book called Dark Matter by Blake Crouch. So this is one that I have a recurring book club with my brother and 2 of our friends, and we do this every month. And then my wife also read this one. Well, I read it aloud, so she heard it as I read it. And it's good. Are you familiar with this author at all? Because I think you'd like him.
I don't think so, no.
Okay. The only thing I'd known of him prior to this was there was a show based on his book Wayward Pines, and I had watched the first season of that, and then I think there was a second season, but then it was canceled and never resolved, so I didn't really stick with it. But I liked that show, and I always intended to look at the book, and then somebody suggested Dark Matter here. So I wouldn't say it's a Halloween read. I think it verges into the horror genre the farther things go, but it is about parallel worlds.
What's going on?
It wouldn't be Halloween without Eric sneaking in. Eric Mickles, welcome to Halloween Now 10.
Wow. It's pronounced Halloween Now X. Yeah. This is the one. This is the Halloween Now that's in space. We've been unfrozen in space, and now we get a cool kind of sci-fi thing.
Yeah, exactly. I know it was blowing my mind a little bit that this is Halloween Now 10. That's a full decade of Halloween episodes.
Yeah.
So
Sally's got married and had kids in that time.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Have I also? No, I had a kid. Before we started.
That was
He is 10 years old, so it was right after. I had a newborn for Halloween Now, number 1.
And now I have a newborn.
And now you do.
Yeah.
Well, 2 of them.
Look at that.
I just got pennies.
But you learn to cook, which is
that's true.
Honestly, the same, right?
You're like a master chef. Eric, we're talking about Dark Matter by Blake Crouch. Do you know Blake Crouch at all?
I know the name. I'm pretty sure. Did he write Upgrade or something? Does that sound right?
It does sound right, but I don't know if that's real or not. But this was like a parallel universe kind of thing where somebody comes out of a universe and inserts themselves into another one, and then that sort of makes this cascade of possible worlds, and so it becomes more and more like convoluted and difficult as they go on, and it does get a little horror-y by the end. I was happy with it though. I thought it was good. I liked it. I would read more by this author.
Yeah. Upgrade's on my list.
Okay. Have you read anything spooky this year, Eric?
No, not yet. I'm reading about the rise and fall of Blizzard, the game company that made like Warcraft and everything. And it's a little bit spooky how systemic sexism can destroy a corporation.
Yeah.
So I guess there's that.
It's a real world scary.
That it can destroy the corporation, or just that it exists?
It exists. That's the scary part. Yeah.
Okay.
It should destroy the corporation.
Okay.
It did make it sound like I was like, oh, how dare it?
You're a little on the fence. Like,
Blizzard.
Which direction you were going?
Yeah.
I couldn't tell.
I just want to make it clear that we're anti-sexism.
Yeah.
Just put that out there. All right, let's talk about what we're watching. Are we watching anything spooky? So Eric knows this, Sally, because I was texting him throughout, but I watched Megalopolis, Francis Ford Coppola's Megalopolis, in theaters after the STLS annual meeting, and it was hands down the worst time I've ever had in a theater.
I have heard people have walked out of it, but I've actually heard very extreme mixed reviews of this. I have heard people say it is the worst movie they've ever seen, and I've heard people say, we just don't understand it.
Yeah, not yet. Not yet.
I think I understand it. I understand the concept of hubris and seeing it play out over nearly 3 hours. I think I get it. It's such a stacked cast, though. I mean, so many great actors popping up in it, but yeah, it was rough. I was hoping you'd have seen it. Neither of you have seen it, right?
No,
it's not playing in my local theater. So
now who's the film snob? Me. But I didn't like it.
And that's your spooky movie?
No, while I had Sally on the line, I wanted to talk about Megalopolis. Do you want to see it? Like, are you guys planning to see this movie?
Yeah,
Okay.
I mean, Coppola, I definitely will. But
if it was playing here in town, I would have already seen it.
Yeah.
And I would have told you that you don't understand it yet.
I do understand it. That's not the problem. I watched a couple of creepy things. I watched a movie called Blink Twice that's directed by Zoe Kravitz, starring Channing Tatum and Naomi Ackie. Have you guys seen this?
Is it spooky? Or creepy or whatever? Is it going for like a horror vibe?
I think it's definitely horror.
I would say so.
Would you say, Sally? I mean, it gets dark. It certainly gets dark fast. So,
is she a good director? Because I always find her a compelling actress, Zoe Kravitz.
I think there was a lot of subtlety in the performances and stuff that I felt like it was hard not to make some Jordan Peele comparisons just in the kind of horror and in the direction that it went. What do you think about that, Sally?
No, I would agree with that. I mean, to my knowledge, this is the only thing I have seen her direct.
Yeah, it's her debut, right?
Yeah.
Is it her debut? Okay, I wasn't sure. But I enjoyed it. I mean, it wasn't like mind-blowing to me, but I thought it was well crafted.
It's like the feel bad movie of the year. By the end of it, I was like, oh man, I need a little sunlight on my face. This is rough. And speaking of sunlight, I watched Midnight Mass. That was the last of the Mike Flanagan, miniseries. I haven't watched Salem's Lot yet, but it was the last of those that I hadn't seen before. Sally, we talked about this last year, and you are not a fan, as I recall.
Yeah, I never actually finished it. I feel like
really?
every year I'm like, I'm going to finish that. Well, I didn't know as though
it's
I
only
gave it
7 episodes.
I know. I'm not sure I gave it a super fair shot. I watched like maybe the first 3 or 4 episodes.
Okay.
And I just found it very kind of slow and condescending.
The religious aspects of it?
Yeah, maybe just that it was like doing something that I felt like has been done before, but it was pretending it hadn't. Like it was pretending it invented it. But I have a lot of friends who I trust very deeply who have seen it, who tell me it's their favorite of that director's series.
Yeah.
So I really do think this might be my failure and I need to revisit it.
I feel like the acting is great. I mean, I think it's really well cast. I think the writing's strong, and I think it carries through right to the end. I think it's a pretty satisfying watch. My wife loved it. She was like, "No, click love it on Netflix." I don't know if I would get fully there.
That's why you need
separate
profiles.
Oh yeah. Well, we do have separate profiles, but this was a joint watch. So what are you going to do?
You can still go to your profile and give it the thumbs down. You want to give it.
Take the extra step.
Yeah, I don't let Kendra's votes affect my Netflix voting.
Okay.
So.
Well, we do have to do that because when we're watching like solo stuff, we do really tend to watch very different things. So yeah. I've only watched the first episode of Wednesday, but now that I finished Midnight Mass, I want to watch the rest of Wednesday. So that's pretty much it for me and my spooky watch. Sally,
you would count Beetlejuice in that, right?
I do, but that's our main topic. We're going to talk all about Beetlejuice, so I'm not there yet.
If you show up late.
Yeah, that's right.
Come on, Eric.
I guess you also watched Trap. Would you count Trap in there?
Oh, that's right. I did watch Trap, another M. Night Shyamalan. I guess it's
Josh
that
Hartnett.
horror?
I guess Josh Hartnett plays. This isn't spoiling anything because it's right in the trailer. This is the concept. Josh Hartnett is a dad taking his daughter to see a concert, but he's secretly a serial killer, and the authorities know the serial killer is going to be at the concert. So they basically have set up this whole concert as a trap to find him.
Hence the title. The title, Trap.
And so Josh Hartnett, as the serial killer, has to try to keep his daughter from figuring it out, but also try to figure out how to get out of the concert.
Yeah.
I have not even heard of this movie.
I want to say...
kind of snuck in. Was it even in theaters?
It was in theaters.
Okay.
We missed it, so I can't remember. It might have been an August release. But it was not great. It definitely started okay, I'm along for the ride, and then it just kind of fell on its face and never got back up.
Yeah, it's like once the initial tension of the trap is broken, you still got a lot of movie left. And
Josh Hartnett goes all in, though.
He does. He does. I can confirm that. Yeah.
It is an interesting premise. I feel like this is the problem with a lot of Shyamalan's movies, though.
Yes.
Is the premise is so solid, but can he execute?
I found Knock at the Cabin to be interesting, but not I never loved it. It has some good stuff in it, but once you realize what's happening, you kind of are all right, I'm out. But I did find Old to be compelling all the way through, and then the ending to be a little bit silly.
Yeah, I think if you could chop the last 5 minutes off of Old, it would be much more highly regarded.
Yeah. I actually, after Old came out, because I was so intrigued by the premise, it's based off of a French graphic novel.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's
I got
right.
that for Christmas that year, and I enjoyed the graphic novel way more, and I think it's because it's just a little bit tighter.
There were some performances in Old that I liked. The guy that played the dad, who also was in Marvel's Werewolf by Night, after seeing that movie, I'm why isn't this guy a bigger star?
Yeah, I thought Old was a good time.
Yeah.
Sally, I bet your list is going to dwarf all of ours because, Halloween is not just a season for you, it's a way of life.
It's true.
What have you been watching? Let me have it.
Well, unshockingly, and actually I heard through the grapevine that Eric might be doing this too, so I was stoked about the new Alien movie coming out for multiple reasons, chief of which was that it was a return to the sort of ghost story type thing that the original Alien is.
Okay.
Did you see that movie he directed prior, the Evil Dead Rises or whatever?
Yes.
That's what stopped me from watching this movie, because I saw the trailer for this Evil Dead. I'm this looks too gross, and I just assumed it translated to the new Alien.
Both are true. Yes. I will not spoil this for people, but there is a scene near the end of this new Alien movie that is truly the most disturbing thing I've seen in the Alien franchise. And I was thrilled by it and also utterly repulsed.
What a ghoul!
But yeah, so if anybody wants to know what that is, message me. But I loved it. I thought it was really great. It's not a perfect film by any means, but it made me rewatch the entire Alien series in preparation, from the classic greats to Sigourney Weaver resurrected from the dead in a leather suit, chopping aliens' heads off,
throwing a basketball behind her.
Yep.
Yeah. I tried to have, I was filming a basketball video here at this college, and I tried to have some of the guys do the same thing, and they couldn't do it. And I was like, you guys need to watch Alien Resurrection.
Or perhaps be a cyborg.
To this day, the only thing I've seen is Prometheus. Eric and I went to see Prometheus together years ago. That's all from the franchise I see.
That's because it was a very sneaky Alien film. It wasn't really sold to the general audience as Alien. And I think that's why Alien Covenant fell so hard box office wise, because if it had been Prometheus 2, I think more general people would have seen it. But I don't think Alien has been.
I would have wanted to see it. I mean,
this new Alien was a big success financially, but I think it's the first one since Aliens in 1986. Is that it?
Right around there.
Yeah. And I think the other ones have done money, but not like that.
Not big money.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I thought it was great, so highly recommend.
So with the Alien franchise, then what is the best one?
I mean, for me, this is a lame answer because it's probably the answer most people would give. But I think it's a tie between Alien and Aliens. My favorite is Aliens.
Mm-hmm.
But that's just sort of personal preference. I think probably more people would lean Alien.
Real, because you're not an action movie fan, and Aliens is much more an action movie than a horror film like the first one.
It's true. And honestly, but I think that's part of why I like it, is it's got these action components, these sort of like dumb jughead characters, but it's so well done. Like, it's so creepy and so well crafted that you like them in a way that usually I would leave a theater over.
Nick hasn't watched it, even though it's got his main guy in there.
I was going to say, whatever one has Paul Reiser, that's my favorite.
That's Aliens.
Okay, all right. Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. All right, so the Aliens franchise, what else you got, Sally?
So I finally saw Longlegs.
Oh.
I have been wanting to see this for like more than a year now because I'm a huge Silence of the Lambs person, and this was very much billed as like a female FBI agent finds serial killer. And so I think I will say it is good. It is not great.
Okay.
It is good.
Okay.
I think I built it too much up in my head because of that. The character, though, that Nicolas Cage plays is truly iconically creepy. So if you're looking for like a new iconic bad guy,
he didn't even know they were rolling. That's the thing. He just stumbled down for a sandwich.
Yeah, that's accurate. And then I would say Talk to Me, I thought was shockingly good. So if anybody skipped that one because they thought it looked like a dumb teen movie, watch it because it's definitely worth it.
Okay.
I thought Megan was worth a watch. Five Nights at Freddy's, if you like gore, is worth a watch.
Oh, is it gory, Five Nights?
Oh yeah,
because that's it. Because I've only played the first game, and it's very it's a jump scare game. You're just trying to keep the doors shut, but you only have so much power to keep the doors shut. So you're just clicking, and you check the video cameras to see where the animatronics are because they are moving locations. And so the game ends if one of them just pops up in front of the screen, and it's a jump scare, and then it static, and the game's over. So at least that first game is not gory.
Interesting. Well, so I've never played the game. I actually have no idea what kind of game it was based off of.
Yeah,
the movie is basically like,
I mean, it's a gory possessed Chuck E. Cheese.
Yeah, I'll just say spoiler alert. So skip this part if you don't want to hear it. Spoilers. But I mean, it's like the possessed, but like rotting bodies of children are in these giant animatronic things that are like murdering people.
That's the lore. Yeah, that only gets like
uncomfortable
talked about a little bit in the game, the first game, and I think that stuff expands as the games go on.
They're gearing up a sequel now, right?
I think so. I think it got announced. Yeah.
It was pretty decent hit, I feel like.
Megan is PG-13, if anyone hasn't seen that, so you can probably handle it. It's very I didn't love it for like either it's horror or it's sci-fi, but I definitely feel like if you're 15 or 16 in this, because it's PG-13, it's your first of either AI sci-fi or that kind of horror thing. I think you could walk away being like, this is my new favorite movie. Yeah, I definitely feel like if that had come out when I was a teenager, I would have had friends like, Megan was so good.
Yeah, that's fair. I enjoyed it. I thought it was fun. I thought it was like slightly different than something I've seen before, which I appreciated. And it was definitely campy, and they knew that, which...
Yeah, they went for it.
Yeah, it's nice if they go in eyes open. Sally, do you have anything that you could recommend to me, knowing my threshold?
Well, so the last thing on my list...
Okay.
Yeah, Meg, you could definitely handle it.
Yeah, man. All right.
The last thing I have is, so I've been getting into these spooky far north Arctic shows.
Oh.
And so I watched The Terror, which is good. Again, good, not great, but it was, I think you might kind of find it interesting because it's about, is it a Norwegian ship? No, I think it's a British ship.
It's British.
The Terror. Yeah, that went to see if they could find the North Passage. And so it's like they took this true story of this ship that got like basically ice locked in the North Atlantic, but they made this sort of like creepy, haunted something is in the ether that is like more than just ice, Yeah. And I feel like you might actually enjoy it.
Turns out the real monster is man.
Wow. Wow. They're really going deep.
Yeah, it's a little slow, but it is well made, and I
10
think
episodes?
the acting is great. Yeah, it's pretty. Yeah, 8 or 10, something like that.
I have seen that. Like that's popped up in the list before, and I've been like, "Oh, that seems interesting." So maybe I'll do it.
Tips.
2 days ago, Kendra and I started the show.
Oh.
So we've seen the first 2 episodes. I read the book almost, it feels like a decade ago. Maybe it was, but I really like the book. And I mean, the book isn't a fast-paced story either, so that's kind of so I kind of know what I'm getting into with this one. But Kendra's pretty stressed out, only 2 episodes in.
Yeah, I mean, it's eerie.
Hey, you know what I love? The guy that plays the captain and the guy that plays his first mate in the HBO show Rome, the captain played Caesar.
You love that show.
The captain played Caesar, and the guy who's playing the first mate played Brutus.
Yeah.
And at one point in the terror, he's like, I felt like Caesar, crossing them like, you guys were in the show about Caesar.
I love when they do that. We've also, this is not a scary thing, but we've been watching Nobody Wants This with Kristen Bell, Adam Brody, and Kristen Bell's character is calling like her jerk friend, and the guy picks up on the other end, and it's Ryan Hansen, who played Dick Casablancas in Veronica Mars, in which he also played her like jerk friend, and I loved it. I don't know how many people like are still Veronica Mars fans, but when that happened, I was like, woo! So I love a good cast reunion.
So Sally, you finished all 10 episodes of The Terror.
Yes. And I'll end with this you might also enjoy. This was one of my favorite things I watched this year. So it was a few months ago, but the new True Detective season.
Oh.
That's the same vibe, right?
You love Jodie Foster.
Same vibe. I love Jodie.
Yeah, I know.
What lesbian doesn't? But
I was thinking it, but you had to say it.
Yeah, but we've got Jodie Foster, and soon we're going to be talking about Gina Davis. What more can I ask for?
I know. Sarah Paulson, I guess, toss her.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, and Catherine O'Hare is like a bonus.
Of course,
90s mom vibes.
Yep.
But no. The new True Detective series, also very spooky, far north. I will say this was my favorite of the True Detectives. I'm not sure it was technically the best made, but I loved it the most. And I thought it was truly spooky. And the last episode, I was a little disappointed in the way the arc was going. And then they just like crash landed the final scene on me, and I wept.
Aww.
Whoa.
So it's worth getting there.
Okay.
Sally, have you watched the new Salem's Lot? Because it's only on Max.
No, I do have it. Like, I have Max. That's on I have like a list of things I want to watch, and that's top on it right now. I also want to watch like Caddo Lake, Never Let Go just dropped, Hold Your Breath, Front Room, The Deliverance, but those are all things I haven't gotten to yet.
Eric, are you going to watch Agatha All Along? I assume that's a no.
I wasn't feeling it, but then as I got closer to October, I was like, I think I could watch this. I think it looks like it could actually be kind of fun.
Okay. You know, I forgot one that I watched. It's from 2023. It's called Night Shift, and it is about this empty, sort of faded motel, kind of like on Route 66, and the regular owner hires a woman to just cover the night shift for him for one night, and you know, it gets creepy, it gets spooky. Gets a little gory, but it was a pretty good time. Kept me on my toes, and then as it was going, I was like, "Oh, this is more than I signed on for." But I made it through to the end.
That sounds like I have like a niche love of movies like that. So I'm.
Okay. Yeah.
Like I love the movie No Vacancy, but I feel like I tune into a lot of them, and then I'm like, I just want this to be No Vacancy. But that one sounds like it might actually be.
Yeah, I think you like it. It's it wasn't really like a well-known cast. Lamorne Morris from like New Girl was the guy who owned the motel, so he, you know. But yeah, it was a good time, and it was. I wasn't like looking for a horror. I was looking more for like a mystery, and it was like, surprise, this is horror. So that scared me.
I need to watch Coraline because I've never seen it, and it just turned 15.
Oh, I've seen that. Yeah.
And everybody always says, like, you know, it was almost like baby's first creepy movie in the same way that like Nightmare Before Christmas was for some people. So
yeah, it was just back in theaters, and we were like, oh, should we take our son? And then we were like, no, it's too it's legitimately scary in a way that I don't think he'd be down for. So
yeah. What is it rated? Is it rated?
Isn't it just PG?
I think it's PG, but it's just the general eeriness of it, and the fact that, like, I don't know, the mom and the button eyes, it's just no thank you. No thanks.
It's the same director. It's Henry Salick of Nightmare Before Christmas and James and the Giant Peach.
Oh, I love James and the Giant Peach.
Yeah.
All right. Well, it's segment time here in Halloween Now 10, so let's talk Beetlejuice.
Don't say that again.
Beetlejuice.
Okay, you said it twice, but definitely don't say the third time.
I'll hold off. I'll just hold off right there. Beetlejuice. All right. So
Oh my god!
So what I thought we'd do is I got a little timeline here of the Beetlejuice world, and we'll just like kind of hit it and see where everything goes. So first, March 30, 1988, Beetlejuice hits theaters, directed by Tim Burton, written by Michael McDowell, Warren Scarron, and Larry Wilson, and of course starring Michael Keaton, Winona Ryder, Catherine O'Hara, Gina Davis, and Alec Baldwin. Sally, tell me, when did you first see Beetlejuice?
Was a teenager, which would have been circa 2000-ish. I mean, I think this is like, it's sort of similar to the Coraline thing, though, where it's like, it's not really a kid's movie. Like,
no,
it's sort of like, you know, a kid who can handle spooky things could watch it. But like, I was definitely a teenager before I saw it, and I immediately fell in love with it. And I was like, well, this is it. This is good stuff.
Yeah. What about you, Eric?
Gosh, I was, younger than a teenager. So if it came out in 88, I don't really know, but I was watching it younger than that. But I can't tell you if I had watched the movie prior to the cartoon. Yeah, young. Like around 8 or younger.
Oh, that's early. That's early for Beetlejuice. I remember it being on the TV, and it was one of the scenes with Alec Baldwin and Gina Davis where they're in, I don't know if they're in the model or something, and I just I could not figure out what I was looking at, and it was just like airing on TV, and I remember being so confused by it. And then it was years later that I realized, oh, that was Beetlejuice. But it really stuck in my head because it was just so unusual, and I was always curious about it. But that was probably late 80s, early 90s, when it was first running on TV, back when that was a thing that happened. The first time I watched the movie straight through was when we all watched it together as part of our Halloween team. Sally, you picked it one year.
Wow.
And I had never seen it prior to that. So I was a full-grown adult, probably with some gray hair.
Yeah, wasn't that 2017, 2018 or something?
I wrote a blog about it, so I could tell you exactly, but yeah.
That's real late, man.
I had never seen it before. But I mean, once we get into the cartoon section, I could talk a lot about that because I loved the cartoon. And I can tell you I was very puzzled by the Beetlejuice-Lydia relationship watching the movie, having only seen the cartoon where they're pals, and here where he's creepily trying to marry her. How do we feel about Beetlejuice? How do you rate it?
I mean, I love Beetlejuice. I feel like part of the reason I love it is I am very partial to that era of movie, that late 80s to mid 90s section of movie making. I feel like, I don't know why, but it's very warm in my soul. The pacing of it, the kinds of characters they have are very well developed. But then I also I love Catherine O'Hara. I love Gina Davis. I think it's just a very fun movie. I think the sort of afterlife scenes are just so perfect, sort of not too overly animated, but definitely have a style. So I mean, I'd give it a 9 out of 10. I mean, it's definitely up there with some of my favorite movies, I think.
Yeah. It's one, I mean, that where the Maitlands are trying to see if Beetlejuice is scary enough to scare away the living people. He
does his whole his resume basically.
Oh gosh, when he's
the Black Plague, and that
I went to Juilliard. Yeah.
That was a good time.
He starts just as Michael Keaton and gets more and more Beetlejuice as he goes. I mean, it's such a tour de force for Michael Keaton. That's not even worth saying. It's so obvious, but it's just it's this quintessential Michael Keaton-ness that I truly can't imagine anyone else pulling that off and making it work. Making you kind of like Beetlejuice, making him seem scary, making it still fun. I mean,
yeah.
It's a crazy performance.
It's the bit in that speech where he's like, I've seen The Exorcist 37 times and it keeps getting funnier every time I watch it.
Yeah.
I know. I was actually thinking about it because, I mean, we'll talk more about these other Beetlejuice things later, but I feel like you touched on this weird creepiness between Beetlejuice and Lydia, where it's it is sort of pedophile coded, but in a way that manages to pull it off. I feel like only Michael Keaton could sort of hold it at a distance where we're this is workable.
Yeah.
He's both the bad guy and extremely likable at the same time.
And it's so funny too because Catherine O'Hara is, such a powerhouse comedian, but I spent, the first, I don't know, 25, maybe 30 years of my life thinking of her as like the mom from Home Alone, which is probably what a lot of people like my age think. But like having since then seen like some of the Christopher Guest stuff and seen SCTV and of course Schitt's Creek, it's so like watching her performance in that, you can just see like all the stuff she's pulling out, and the way she sells the Banana Boat song is just genius. It's just bravo. Like there's never a time when I don't want to watch that. You know what I mean? If it's like coming up on a reel or whatever. I mean, there's definitely been times where I'm like, you know what, I want to watch that scene from Beetlejuice, and she just, 100%. I love it.
Yeah, I agree.
What's a standout moment for you in that movie, Sally?
Oh gosh, I mean, well, that one, but I also do love the original moment when Gina Davis's character Barbara and what is Alec Baldwin's character's name?
Adam.
Oh maybe? Boy, I can't remember, and I listened to the musical.
Yeah, well, at any rate, Alec Baldwin and Gina Davis are realizing their ghosts and trying to haunt them. So they put sheets on their head.
Yeah.
Lydia,
push back and everything.
We have to give a shout out to Winona Ryder too, because I feel like also perfect casting.
Oh, definitely.
But I love that first interaction where they're like pretending to be spooky ghosts and she sees them in the bed sheets.
Yeah. It's like, I feel like kind of a go-to pull for Tim Burton too. It's just like, if you want to know what Tim Burton's about, like watch Beetlejuice, because I think it really captures that odd line that like not everybody can pull off, and he just kind of lives there. So
I do love, and I think Tim Burton is really great at this, where Catherine O'Hara's character is this artist, right? And she has all these freaky like postmodernist sculptures and stuff that she's creating, and the way they mimic the afterlife characters is just so perfect. I just think it's this hilarious like play on the art world, but in a way that feels not like angry at the art world. It's just sort of like poking fun at it, but then to take that and make it this like spooky other thing. I feel like he's so good at like sort of duplicating imagery in that way. And it's also just hilarious. So
and also, I mean, hats off to Danny Elfman. I mean, that score, that Beetlejuice theme is, it's great, and it just it's a great soundtrack all throughout. All right, then just the following year, September 9th, 1989, Beetlejuice the animated series debuts on ABC, and it had 3 short seasons on ABC. And then it switched to Fox and had like a 4th season, but it was 65 episodes, so it was like made for syndication. So it has a total of 94 episodes.
Yeah, you said short seasons, but I was like, I'm pretty sure there's a lot of episodes in those short seasons.
Yeah, but season 1 is 13 episodes, and then seasons 2 and 3 are 8. And then once it moves to Fox, that's where the 65 balloons. And I'm pretty sure, like, I recently I was at Walmart, and they had the whole series on DVD, and I was just like, I mean, I can't walk past this. So we've been watching some of the early stuff, and I don't think I've seen the early stuff. I'm much more familiar with the Fox era, with, like, Jacques and the Tap Dancing Spider, and like the world I think is just a little bit more I don't know, zany and full,
right?
In the Fox era.
So that explains why I watched it as a kid, because I remember it on around the same time as like the Batman animated show and Power Rangers, which were both on Fox.
Yep, definitely. Yeah, it was part of that Fox Kids lineup. Tim Burton served as the executive producer. Danny Elfman made a new version of the theme to be the theme song.
Yeah.
It actually won a Daytime Emmy Award for Outstanding Animated Program, but it tied with The New Adventures of Winnie the Pooh, which I think is just perfect. It's like, which one?
Both had killer openings.
Yes.
So.
Eric can attest to this, but the voices are Stephen Ouimet and Allison Court as Beetlejuice and Lydia, and they are in X-Men the Animated Series, where Allison Court voices Jubilee, and Stephen Ouimet voices both Archangel and Phalanx. And boy, he leaves nothing on the table for that Phalanx performance.
Oh yeah, he's one of those, like, he has multiple sounding voices. It's like, this is the same guy, whereas Allison Court usually always sounds like Allison Court.
I was surprised because, like, I never put that together. Yeah. And then when I saw that was true, I think you said it on previously on X-Men.
Yeah.
And I
was go back and watch the Beetlejuice, you're like, oh yeah, it's just right there.
It's just the same. The animated series was pretty heavily merched. Like, I remember the Burger King toys crystal clear. I had those Burger King toys. There were several books and comic books. There was a Game Boy game. I swear I've played the Beetlejuice based on the movie original, like, NES game, but a lot of Beetlejuice merch. Yeah. Sally, I think this is probably the Beetlejuice that you are least familiar with. Is that correct?
By far, I had never seen it before.
Did you know it existed?
I knew it existed, but I only think I knew it existed since we watched it for that Halloween.
Oh, okay.
Thing. Like, I think when I introduced the movie to you, you mentioned the cartoon to me.
Yeah. Well, so I loved this cartoon. Yeah. And looking back at the things that I was not allowed to watch, I don't know why I was allowed to watch this because, it is dark and it's like profoundly weird.
Yeah.
Consistently.
Even
and
the
really
opening.
Not like, yeah, it is.
Because the opening, they show like his rotting face underground in the grave, and you see like a centipede or something crawl in his nostrils while Lydia does her like, while I should be wary, I want to venture somewhere scary, and then she says Beetlejuice, and then he comes out of the grave and everything.
It's very much
and what do they call like the netherworld, right? So like in that world is very like, it's surprising this show wasn't on Nickelodeon because it has that crazy, just like
it does.
Yeah, and
it does.
It takes the Tim Burton aesthetics and just goes crazy with it.
Rewatching it now, like as an adult, I'm surprised because it is so different from the cartoons that I liked in that era. I don't know why I loved it as much as I did, but I
knew you were a Michael Keaton fan already.
I guess so. I just didn't know it.
You knew they were channeling it.
But Beetlejuice and Lydia are like best friends in it. Like she calls him up and like he gets her out of jams and they go on adventures and her life is so boring.
There's an episode where he's jealous that she's being friends with like this other prince that looks like Johnny Depp.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're just pals. She has not magic powers, but whenever she like goes to the netherworld, her outfit changes to that red spiderweb poncho.
Yeah.
So watched this a lot as a kid.
Yeah. Sally, so you recently watched, because we have the DVD here at the David A. Howe Public Library, everybody. So you watched some episodes. Oh, there you go, proof. What do you think? What do you think of the cartoon?
I mean, this is exactly the kind of cartoon I would have loved as a kid.
I believe that, yeah.
Not shocking. It's a little weird watching it for the first time as an adult. Partly because I do think, like, I'm coming at it from this, like, Beetlejuice is kind of a creepy guy hanging out with this child. But I don't think that that's in the cartoon. I think I'm bringing that to the cartoon.
Yeah.
But I thought it was delightful. I actually think it's hilarious. Like, it is definitely... I think there's an era of cartoons, like, especially 80s and 90s, when they're both writing for kids and adults.
Yeah.
I think this, like, there was, in one of the episodes, he's like, I'm going to go watch a little TV. And he's just watching a little TV. This tiny little TV. But it's just, like...
Good. That's
something
good.
I mean, it's a dumb joke, but it's just something about the execution is so, like, I actually laughed out loud.
It's like, I'd probably put it in that same realm of weirdness as like Real Monsters and Rocko's Modern Life. Just pun heavy, but also kind of weird and also kind of gross. And
gross. It's a good
the jokes that like you watch as a kid and you're like, haha, and then you watch as an adult, like, that's filthy.
Yeah, it's true. There's a lot of that.
It's also it's so like it's very ugly, like the like with the exception of Lydia, the character designs are all very like exaggerated and unpleasant. Again, in a way that I don't typically like. So I don't know what about this cartoon really like clicked with me.
Yeah, I thought it was very entertaining though.
Yeah.
I also my favorite joke in the ones that I watched was the Spooky Boutique. And they do like these commercials, so they keep the commercials are like hypnotizing the adults, and so they keep going into these rooms with adults watching TV. And like the first one they do is just an adult watching a string quartet on TV, and I was like, this is 100% what children look at adults like. Like they're just watching these boring string quartets on TV, like their dull lives. And I was like, I like this joke. I think this is great.
I don't know if it's like the sequel that I mean, I'm sure that renewed some interest in it, but I swear I've looked over the years to see if I could watch this, and it's been just like completely gone. Like
it's definitely the sequel because like the whole season the whole series just showed up on Tubi, right? I think as well, and you just couldn't find. It was one of those shows that you knew existed, but
I don't think. I feel like I have vague memories of it, like reruns popping up on Nickelodeon or whatever, but this was not one that was like in a heavy rotation after the run, which was weird. I mean, it won an Emmy, it was popular, it had lots of episodes, and I think it just kind of
it came managed. And went. Yeah, and I think it's because yeah, the movie came out in 88, and then there was the cartoon, but there wasn't any. It's not like the Batman animated show that comes after Returns and then has Forever and Robin in it, and it's not like the constant renewal of Power Rangers and stuff. I think it had a moment, and then it was just
just weird. Yeah. I mean, it was a weird time. It was like, every movie from that time has an animated spin-off.
But also like it's Warner Brothers, right? And then it was also on Fox, and so that probably had some rights thing. And then you think of Nickelodeon would still show older cartoons because they're kind of like, we're Nickelodeon, this is our brand, this is our legacy, but where would Beetlejuice fall into that for anybody?
I read that this was like, because of how the ABC Fox deal worked, it was airing in syndication on Fox every day, like Monday through Friday. It was still airing new episodes Saturday morning on ABC. So it was like, all over the place.
No break.
But anyway, so then we get no new Beetlejuice content until April 25th, 2019, when the Beetlejuice musical debuts on Broadway.
Oh, yeah. Is it only 2019?
2019, yeah. And COVID kind of killed it. Like they couldn't make a deal to continue past 2020. And there was a tour that, Sally, remember, we almost went to see this. Do you remember this? But you were like either having just given birth or were about to.
Yeah, it just toured in Charlotte.
It was at Shays in Buffalo, and we had talked about it, and it didn't work out. But music and lyrics by Eddie Perfect, book by Scott Brown and Anthony King. Alex Brightman plays Beetlejuice, and he reprises the Beetlejuice role in a 2020 episode of Teen Titans Go that's titled The Ghost with the Most, which is pretty funny. Beetlejuice blending with Teen Titans Go works pretty well.
He's the same guy that played Jack Black's role in the School of Rock musical.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, apparently, I read something like
weird career.
Well, his throat. There's something up with his throat or his. I can't remember what it was, but it lets him able to sing that like raspy voice he has without damaging his voice, because that's just his singing voice. So he can sound like Jack Black or Beetlejuice and still hit all the notes.
Interesting. You got to call in your wife for her expertise in that.
Yeah, that's right.
He doesn't know.
See what she has to say.
Are you kidding me? The one that's listening to new Broadway musicals in this relationship is moi. I introduced her to Bad Cinderella.
Yikes.
This is
it's turning into like couples therapy.
Who does
so
she think she is?
I have listened to this a bunch. Have you guys heard this music at all?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's weird. I feel like I like it. I think the music is good. I enjoy it. But it does feel very much like a spoof of a modern musical. I was in Addams Family a couple of years back, and it kind of has some vibes of that, but it doesn't feel... I don't know, like the Danny Elfman music and everything, I don't feel like that style or tone is in the music at all, and it just feels more poppy than I was expecting.
It's also very... front heavy. Like the first act has all the killer songs, and then the second one is just kind of boring and reprisey. And all the best songs are in that first act. And they kind of go for like almost a blend of the movie and the cartoon, because while they're not like friends, Lydia is summoning Beetlejuice like at the end of the first act to fix things, and then he's just kind of hanging out the second act.
Okay.
So, yeah. I like a couple of the... Like, I have them on my Broadway playlist, a few of the songs. The one about them talking about having to figure out what they're looking for as adults. Yeah. I like the Scare Them song or whatever, give them the fright of their lives. And Dead Mom. Dead Mom is a pretty killer song.
Yeah. Sally, what do you think of this?
I mean, I agree with Eric, with the exception of Creepy Old Man or whatever in the second half. I think that's great.
Okay.
I think partly, I love the line where he's like, it's like Lolita. That's what we're doing here. And I just like the acknowledgement of that.
Yeah, I like the bit in the Fright of Their Lives where he starts singing about how much these two are losers and everything, and then he's like, Mr. Beetlejuice, we can hear you. He's like, actually, that was a soliloquy, so you're the one being rude now.
I do love that part.
That feels very Beetlejuice. That feels like something that could come out of Keaton.
Yeah, that's true. It's true.
I mean, I, for the most part, liked it. I agree with you. I think it is a little more poppy and less sort of ethereal than you would expect from like a Tim Burton situation. But I do think it's fun.
Yeah,
I haven't seen.
I think it would be great to see on stage.
Yeah, because I haven't seen it. I don't know what like the Netherworld stuff looks like. I don't know if they incorporate the Netherworld worms or anything.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I was just looking because obviously I haven't seen it on stage, but I was looking at the little like pamphlet in the CD, and they have like him riding this giant sandworm, which I think is pretty cool.
Yeah.
So I do think it'd be very fun to see on stage.
Yeah.
I don't love what they do with Delia's character. I get it, and I think it makes sense as a rewrite for a Broadway production, but I just like her being the weird art stepmom, and the life coach thing. I feel like, I mean, it works, but I think knowing the original, it makes me sad.
Yeah, she's very just like sort of Stepford wifey, like, you know, average TV mom in the cartoon as well. They don't really pull that through, which I was glad to kind of see that roll back around in Beetlejuice, which we can get to now. So on September 6, 2024, Beetlejuice hits theaters, directed by Tim Burton, written by Alfred Gough and Miles Miller, who I know best from Smallville. They wrote
Smallville, Spider-Man 2.
Oh, really? Oh.
Yeah, they helped write the script for Spider-Man 2 along with the guy who's named Michael Chabon. The police Yiddish.
Yeah. Also did Star Trek Picard, which we won't have to talk about. And they had just collaborated with Tim Burton and Jenna Ortega on Wednesday. So you know, I think that's kind of in the zone there.
I had forgotten that Burton did Wednesday, and that's how he would have worked with Jenna Ortega first. I had completely forgotten that.
Yep. So Michael Keaton, Winona Ryder, and Catherine O'Hara are back, and the new cast members are Jenna Ortega, Monica Bellucci, Willem Dafoe, Justin Theroux, and Danny DeVito. And all those rhyme. That was fun.
Yeah.
So Sally and I saw this in Hornell, and I went to meet her, and I see her walking down the aisle there in an all black and white striped outfit. So it was really my hat was off to you. And then when I was in North Carolina, Eric and I went to see this together.
Yeah.
So I saw it twice, and I felt like it held up pretty well both times. So I know because Eric's on Letterboxd that he rated 2.5 stars for Beetlejuice. He couched it between two other reviews, so I wouldn't see it. But that's not how it works. Because I specifically looked for it because I knew you were being quiet about it. So don't even try your crap.
I did it. I rated it after you left, and I made sure that I rated it first, and then another movie quickly. So when you got on, it would only show Trap's review.
Yep. This is the kind of stuff he pulls. So
I'm just not pulling. It's trying to be diplomatic.
Setting that aside, no, I respect your opinion. Setting that aside, I'll tell you that I really liked it. I went in and I was worried that Michael Keaton, it would feel like Saturday Night Live or something, like, oh, look, Michael Keaton's dressed as Beetlejuice, but now he's old. But I felt like he really kind of got into the zone of it. It felt like a true Beetlejuice performance. I could tell you my favorite line is in the therapy session where he's like, I feel we have an enabler here. We'll get into that. Like, that was my favorite. Cracks me up every time.
I read somewhere he was talking about this movie, and he said he felt like he was just possessed by the character. Again, that like it just kind of takes him over. And I mean, I'm sure with that role, like the costume and the makeup just do that for him. That like once he's there, he's like, oh yeah, Beetlejuice, all right.
Yeah. But I mean, it makes or breaks on that. You know, like, can Michael Keaton do it again? I felt like the balance was right. They didn't, they weren't like, now it's all Beetlejuice. Like, it was still good amounts of Beetlejuice, not too much Beetlejuice. I thought Winona Ryder,
not like the fourth Pirates of the Caribbean, where it was like it's all Johnny Depp now, and like
all the time, all the time, and he's always drunk. Somehow he's drunker. Yeah, I liked the tone of it. I liked some of the callbacks. They didn't feel too heavy-handed, and I just left happy. And when we watched it a second time, I was like, is it going to hold up? Because the second time, usually you see things that you didn't like before, but I was pretty happy both times. Sally, what about you? How do you feel about Beetlejuice?
Oh, I mean, I walked out of there very happy. I maybe it was because my expectation was so low or something. I don't know, but I genuinely enjoyed it. Is Letterboxd out of 5? Is that the rating?
5 stars.
Yeah. I mean, I'd give it like a solid 4. I thought they utilized the characters really well. It felt like a new story without like rehashing too much of the original plot. I thought my one complaint, and actually Nick and I talked about this a little bit afterwards, was that like there was maybe one too many things going on. So even though She was super cool.
Yeah,
I probably would have cut out like his ex-wife, Soul Sucker Lady.
Yeah, the look and the idea was very cool, but you got to build a whole movie around that.
Well,
you can't. I mean, she had nothing to do.
Yeah, by the time she gets to the end, she doesn't do anything.
Right.
And then her fate is just a redux of the fate from the first movie. She really just kind of walks around, sucks the souls of a few ghosts, and then nothing. Like her and Beetlejuice don't really have anything. But yes, she is super cool. And like as soon as the movie started, or as soon as her scene started with the tragedy song by the Bee Gees, I was like, I'm into this character.
Yeah.
She's one of those people who's just like stupid gorgeous. Just like this isn't fair.
Yeah.
That she just has got to walk around for 50 something years looking like this.
Uh-huh.
And meanwhile, I'm like talking to my barber, like, can you just cut it so that the thinning isn't so? And like,
I've been sitting here trying to figure out who's going to say first that they think that she's hot, and I was wondering, Eric, how you were going to work that in.
Well,
so,
it's not even that.
There.
It's just like when you say to somebody, like, think of like what a beautiful human being looks like. Like she's just like that, you know, like Da Vinci or something would be like. Who sculpted the Michelangelo?
Michelangelo.
Oh yeah, that would make sense.
Michelangelo. You mean the David?
The David.
Yeah. There you go.
Anyway, I'm just saying it's just kind of like ridiculous that like there are people out there who just like
I think Eric thinks she's hot.
I know. I
didn't say that. I said
subtle
it.
vibes.
Yeah. I said it in a way that can't get me canceled.
I do feel like there was so much they could have done with that character, and I think that was, as Sally and I were walking out, that was kind of the number one thing, that it was just like, how would the movie be different if she wasn't there? You know, like, not really at all.
It almost feels like they could have done a third movie, and it could have been about her. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I do know that this sequel obviously has been like kicking around people's minds for, nearly 40 years. And I know that there was a previous version of the script, and even in the credits, it's like based on a story by, these people and Seth Graham Greene. So I felt like, to me, it was like that was in a different version, and they were like, oh, but it's so cool. Let's just work it into.
There was the, I think like originally too, I mean, maybe not, but I remember there being rumors and stuff that Johnny Depp would be in the movie or something. And so, I think, like you said, it's just gone through changes since 1988.
Yeah. There was that Beetlejuice Goes Hawaiian was one of the things that was kicked around as a sequel, like that was genuinely considered. And in that Teen Titans Go episode, Beetlejuice has some comment where he was like, I was going to maybe sing a little bit, or I was planning a whole vacation. I don't know. So it's like acknowledging all these different things.
Yeah, because they were talking sequel pretty early on, and then it just fizzled out.
Yeah, never happened. Willem Dafoe's having the time of his life. I've never seen the man happier.
Word. I know. Outside of like The Life Aquatic with Steve Zissou, I don't know if I've ever seen such just like a jovial, just like he's just. You're right. He's just. It's so obvious that he's having a good time, that he's he doesn't want to be anywhere else. And I think his jokes are the jokes that land. It's the coffee cup thing, especially the very last coffee cup handing. It's just, it's too much.
Yeah, Kendra, every time Willem Dafoe's character, he plays an actor who was a cop, and now he's like a real afterlife cop.
He did his own stunts.
He did his own stunts, yeah. And he has an assistant that keeps handing him a coffee, like, for his line. Every time that happened, Kendra was like falling out of her chair. So it was a good time. It was very funny. I was happy with it. I thought whatever that song is called, the Cake Out in the Rain song, I liked that quite a bit. It was long, but I still loved it. So
I just, halfway through that song, I realized that I was just smiling.
Same.
I had this huge grin on my face. I was like, this is just enjoyable. Like, they're doing it again. It's very fun. He's chosen another like obscure song. I don't know. It was just, I just thought it was so fun.
Yep.
I also said I hate the parts of movies that are like, we're caught in the struggle and we don't know how this is going to like be resolved. And I appreciate that Tim Burton does not linger in those moments, that he's just like, these things are happening. It's not a problem anymore. And I was like, thank God, because I just want to be here singing about this cake.
Thank God for you, Burton.
Yeah. My second biggest, like, what was that all about, is Jenna Ortega's character's dad, Lydia's ex. They lay in a lot of things about how Lydia can't see him and his body was never found. And then, like, nothing really happens with that. It's like, they, spoiler alert, run into him at one point, but it's just kind of like, oh, hey, great. And then that's it. Move on, and that felt like, was there more to that and they didn't do it or what?
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's like, yeah, I think generally it's like my complaint is that it seems like they had too much,
Yeah, I think so too.
Everything they had, I don't specifically have a complaint about it. It's just because they didn't have enough time to devote to each of those segments, it felt rushed and like a little underdeveloped.
Yeah. The ending, there's a portion where it's like you don't know what's real or what's not. It's kind of an unsettling ending. And to make Beetlejuice and then Beetlejuice, how do you not finish it with Beetlejuice is all I'm saying.
Boy.
Yeah. You don't want that? You're a no?
No, I when we were driving to the movie, I was complaining to you about how Beetlejuice isn't a thing. Like, it's just not a thing. And so that just really, like, I get why they did it, but, like, nobody says Beetlejuice, and that's, you know what I mean? And so that just, for some reason... irked me, and I took a whole star off my letterbox review.
I guess so. I guess you did. You're going to look like a fool when Beetlejuice comes out, and it all makes sense.
Yeah. But, I'm like, oh. But what happens when they make the fourth movie, and they have to say Beetlejuice 4 times?
That's too many times.
Oh, you don't want to say that.
The line from the trailer where he comes out of the model town and is just like, the juice is loose. I was like, that's all I needed from that trailer. I was like, yes, I'm into this. I want it. I want to see it.
Yeah. Agreed. Well, and I feel like, did we like put Winona Ryder in like a perfect freeze chamber to make her like still the perfect person for this?
She was very good in it, and I thought her chemistry with Catherine O'Hara was still great, and the way those characters have developed, I just thought it worked so well.
Yeah.
I did notice that the musical kind of starts from her mother's funeral. And Beetlejuice is very clear that, like, her mother is alive. So, not that I think Tim Burton's watching the Beetlejuice musical, but I just kind of noticed that.
Yeah.
So,
it's a real Mara Jade situation.
Yeah, from the Star Wars. I liked it. I'm Sally. I think I credit you for introducing me to the Beetlejuice movies because it was your pick for our Halloween Now.
That's wild.
Thank you. I mean, it's funny though because I think part of that, like. I mean, I feel very proud of this, but I feel like there was a real lull where like people born between like 1998 and like beyond would not have heard of Beetlejuice for like the first like half of their lives. Like it was not in the zeitgeist for like a good 10 or 20 years.
Yeah, growing up, like there were some movies, like I remember Nightmare Before Christmas getting that like re-evaluation by like my generation and the ages around that, like we watched as a kid, but then like we all rediscovered it as teenagers or late teenagers. And there's other movies like that, but Beetlejuice never seemed to get that like resurgent. Like Lydia never. You go into Hot Topic and you didn't see Beetlejuice stuff in the same way that you saw other Tim Burton stuff. Like you would find Edward Scissorhands stuff, you would find all these other things, but not. Beetlejuice. And I don't know if like because it was I don't know if it was just like a weird time, we were like all a bit too young to be watching it, and so like we had to rediscover it like almost the first time.
Well, one thing that I thought was interesting was when they announced the new movie, I noticed that our copy here was lost. And I was like, oh, I should replace our Beetlejuice DVD. And I looked it up and was going to get, whatever the fancy version was. And there is no fancy version. It's just like the bare bones DVD with the same cover that was the movie poster, that was the VHS cover. So it's never really gotten that, like, here's a big glossy, like, 30th anniversary, even when physical media was like huge and doing that all the time, it never got that.
Like you said, there was the gap between the cartoon, which was like what, 91, 92, 91, and then 2019 with the musical. So I mean, I had watched it growing up, but it just kind of didn't stick in the same way some other stuff did, I guess.
Yeah, and it's interesting too because it's not like it's a no-name cast. Like all of those stars are still.
It might be
names,
because it's a comedy. Because I think the emo crowd that rediscovered, Nightmare Before Christmas and Edward Scissorhands as they grew up and really launched Hot Topic into the stratosphere. I think they can't. The cynicism that comes with that imagery and stuff doesn't translate to Beetlejuice because even Lydia is like. She's almost like the prototype for goth and stuff, but she is like comedic in the first movie and, is kind of cheered up as it goes on. So I wonder if that's just part of it. Just like it didn't fit in the early 2000s, like Evanescence Hot Topic-y thing, the same way Scissorhand and Nightmare did.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, that's true. A good point, actually. Yeah. I feel that.
Yeah. Well, it's worthy to be rediscovered. And I mean, this movie has been a massive hit.
It's huge, yeah.
It's a huge hit. Sally and I saw it in a small theater.
Yeah.
And it was like a Saturday afternoon.
Yeah.
And it was packed. It was like, Sally was like, I'll stay in the popcorn line. You go save us seats. Like, it was that packed.
It's going for a lot of nostalgia, which, is helping older generation. And I think younger people, like how many movies out there in theaters right now are just, I mean, this is why you liked it, Nick. Like how many movies out there are goofs? You know what I mean? Like it's just made because they want to tell jokes and do goofy things.
Yeah, true.
And it's not like there's a ton of competition out there for that. Jenna, I mean, I think also like you have Jenna Ortega, who is a really big star right now with people who didn't grow up with Beetlejuice from Wednesday and the Scream movies. So,
yeah, that's true. We didn't even talk about her, but I felt like she fit into that world perfectly.
She looks like she was molded to not only play Winona Ryder's daughter, but to just be in the Tim Burton universe.
Yeah, it's true.
Like when I saw she was cast in there, I'm like, well, obviously you would cast Jenna Ortega in
it's true.
a Tim Burton movie.
Yeah.
I actually didn't believe it the first time I saw like the poster or whatever, the promo for it.
Yeah.
Because I was like, well, this is just somebody fanning out, being like, they should remake Beetlejuice with Jenna Ortega. I was like, well, that's not real, but we all want that. And then I was like, oh, this is real.
Yeah. It seems like genetically they built her in a lab.
True. True. It really is like, each generation. It's like, we had Winona Ryder, then we had Christina Ricci, and now we have Jenna Ortega. And you know what I mean? We just sort of keep.
It's true.
I guess we missed. Did we miss an era then? Like after Christina Ricci, but like the 2000s, did we lose that? We didn't really have somebody.
Who is the sort of offbeat goth actress from that time? I don't know.
Can't tell you. What's her name? From Jennifer's Body and Transformers.
Oh, Megan Fox.
I don't know if I don't know.
I don't think I'd say Megan Fox.
That's
embarrassing.
She's gothy.
I'm going to leave that in so people hear that.
All right, I'm saying she's gothy, and she's been reevaluated as kind of a gothy like icon in some areas, thanks to like Jennifer's Body and some later stuff. But
he's like a teenage boy in their basement is like, she's gothy.
I don't know.
Well, I have enjoyed diving back into the Beetlejuice world, and I was delighted to watch the cartoon again, and I really like this movie, and I want the soundtrack because I thought like all of the cuts they made were great, and the Danny Elfman score is just great.
I did have Tragedy stuck in my head for a good week after it.
I'm surprised, like that song, it's like classic Bee Gees, but like I don't feel like that's a song that's in the rotation. You know what I mean? I think that's kind of
I recognized it, but I couldn't tell you the last time I had heard it anywhere.
Yeah, on a Bee Gees 8-track probably.
Yeah.
It's the last time. But it's good. Yeah. It's good stuff. Okay, well, this is the first of at least 3 stops for Sally Jacoby Murphy, the Queen of Halloween. Sally, do you want to tell the nice people what else you're going to be doing this festive season?
Yes. Well, so I am doing previously on X-Men, which I have done the last couple of years, and we are going to be reading Generation X number 41. Dabbling. So I love doing this podcast, but it is always, I always learn stuff because I am not fluent in comic books.
Mm-hmm.
So this
Eric,
is
do you know this issue?
No, because Generation X was done when I started getting into comics, and I had one chance to buy all 75 issues as a teenager on eBay for $100, and I didn't do it, and now it's impossible. And on Marvel Unlimited, they have all these gaps and stuff, but they're slowly putting out the omnibuses, and when they do that, they put them on the app. But I mean, I'm familiar with the Gen X characters and some of the stuff, and I know they've done a ghost story or two in that. So it's always funny in X-Men comics because they'll be like, oh, there's a ghost, and everybody will be like, ha ha, yeah, right, a ghost. And it's like, where do you think you are, X-Men mutant superhero character?
Look around you.
Yeah.
You just were hanging out with Mephisto 2 weeks ago, and you don't believe there's a ghost?
Well, I'm excited for it. I've been told it's super spooky. I haven't read it yet, but you can get it at your local library.
That's right.
So that's good. And then I'll also be doing... Why am I blanking?
This Endorian Life.
Yeah. I wanted to be like Ewok time.
Yeah.
This Endorian Life.
That's going to be the new title now. Ewok time.
Yeah. Ewok time. But no, I'm also doing This Endorian Life, and we are going to be watching the Halloween Lego shorts.
That'll be fun.
Which, the Lego thing, because I only recently had children, I feel like I had not watched a lot of the Lego movies and stuff, but I recently
Are you newborn super into the Lego verse now?
Well, they will be, Eric.
They will be. Yeah, Lego's a good time. I always like that. And I've liked the Star Wars stuff they've done, even though sometimes it's like super goofy. So that should be a good time. In the main library podcast, But Have You Tried? This is my month to give Allie an assignment. And Eric, you'll appreciate this. Allie has never seen any of the X-Men movies. So we've talked about this a bunch. And with Deadpool and Wolverine coming out, I'm like, you gotta get in the zone. So she is watching X-Men, like 2000s X-Men. I told her she could watch more if she wants, but she has to at least watch X-Men, and I truly have no idea if she's going to like it or not. She's tough to pin down.
It's very
we'll see.
2000.
It is, but I think she's got kind of an old school, like she could have watched this on VHS at her parents' house. You know what I mean? I think there's a chance that she'll like it. I think she will like Anna Paquin's Rogue. I think she'll like that she's the Lens, and so. Okay. But you can find out over on But Have You Tried? All right. Anything else for the good of Halloween Now 10? I can't believe we've done 10 years of these, but we have.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's just okay because I think all Sally wanted was her machete back. That's a Jason X reference.
Okay. All right. Well, I didn't get it.
Jason X is the one where he's in space.
Yeah.
Oh, like Halloween Now 10. Okay, I get it. I'm with you.
Yeah, that's what I was referencing.
All right. Well,
I love it.
Eric, thanks again for Discord bombing us. You kind of like Beetlejuice yourself. You know what I mean? Like we say your name and you just appear.
Yeah. Listen, when I was a kid, like I had watched enough Beetlejuice cartoon that when I knew I needed to be like super crazy, and this meant just being like loud and annoying and swinging my arms everywhere, I would say it's showtime.
Perfect. Okay, well, on that note, that's going to do it for Halloween Now 10 here on How's Things. See you next year. Oh, I didn't know if you guys were going to say goodbye or not.
Boo!
Okay. We'll see you next time.